Hello, everybody, and welcome to our first ever podcast. This is Lakes and Storms. I'm Joshua. This is my co-host Sam. Before we start, I'd just really like to thank all of you for clicking on our video, just hearing us out. We genuinely really appreciate it. So, Sammy, why don't you take it from here?
Yeah, I'm super excited for this. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're going to be doing a draft analysis today, talking about mainly the first round, but touching on the second round as well as talking about our teams, Lakers and Thunder.
I'm a Thunder fan.
Yeah.
Thunder better than Lakers, so there's going to be more to talk about. But
All right,
we'll get to that when we get to it.
We'll get to that. But yeah, I guess without further ado, let's get it started.
Okay. So, for the first pick, of course, as everyone knows, San Antonio took Victor Wembanyama. So with Victor, there's a lot of things to say about Victor. I mean, as you see, we wrote skill, size, fluidity. He is the most fluid athlete I've ever seen at that size. He reminds me of like Katie or Giannis, but of course he's 6 inches taller than both of them. Like it's insane. And I'm checking back my notes. Like I didn't watch basketball in 2003. I was only 3 years old. So I've been in basketball probably for 6 years now. The best prospect I ever saw was probably Zion, and Victor just trumps him, just
blows him out of the water. Yeah,
it's not close.
Yeah, I'm probably mostly excited. Obviously, there's something to be excited about in the offensive end, but I think he's going to make an impact day one. His rim protection, as well as just everything else on the defensive side. I think we're going to see the Spurs be a great defensive team from this point forward, just with Vic holding it down, being kind of the center of it all.
Do you think he'll get 20 this year? Because I feel like he'll probably average close to a double-double at least, but
20 points?
Yeah, Paulo averaged 20, and Paulo shot.
No, I think he will.
It's definitely possible on the team he's on.
Yeah, I think he could probably average 20 and 10. Like, I don't want to overhype him or anything, but like,
I mean, you see the people
he played every single game for Mets last year, which that's a promising sign. It's not going to be like these other big guys.
With everything he played, I think he played close to like 50 games or something like that. Everyone's talking about like, is he going to miss time? Is this? Is that? Blah 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 blah. I mean, this guy's ready. This guy's ready to play.
For sure.
He's got Keldon Johnson, locked up for a few years. They got Zach Collins, Trey Jones is a free agent, which I don't know if you really care about that. I don't. Malachi Branham last year, 20th pick. It's all set up, I don't think they're going to be champions next year, but he definitely has a chance to make Rookie of the Year.
For sure.
Anything to say about it?
Yeah. If I was a betting man, it's, I probably wouldn't bet him actually because the odds are going to be so stacked against him.
That's true.
Whatever. That's a whole nother thing.
Okay. All right.
Should we move on?
Yeah.
All right.
So second overall, Charlotte choose Brandon Miller. And, I like Brandon, Sammy. I like what he brings. I like the 6'9" wing. Can shoot, can guard, has upside, but I just hate this pick here, man.
Yeah, I saw this coming. We knew we were going to disagree on this, but I mean, God, he's also NBA ready. I mean, a lot of these top 5 guys really are, maybe even further, but I think, him as a secondary playmaker, shooter, scorer next to LaMelo, like, I think it's going to be awesome. It's going to be House of LaMelo Part 2 this year.
Yes, yeah, that is true. I do miss those. House of LaMelo, House of Zion.
Yeah.
House of Wemby this year. And that's just how it is. But LaMelo Ball, when he was on top of the world, was so fun to watch. And I just personally like I know we'll get into it next, but I like Scoot's upside. I like what he brings to the table. And they don't have as many guards as you think they do. I mean, they have like Book Knight. Cody Martin's gonna play on Maladon. Like,
they don't really have much of anything. If we're being honest,
they really don't have a lot. So like, if I'm guarding, if I'm drafting, I'm gonna take upside. And not that Brandon doesn't have upside. It's just 38%, 43 from the field, 85.9. Like, it's all great. The 53% 3-point rate. Like, I love it. 6'11" wingspan. At 6'9", that's great. But I would have taken Scoot. By far, I would have taken Scoot. It's
Yeah, we'll agree to disagree. Yeah, one thing I'll say is I am an SDSU alum, so we beat Bama in the Elite Eight, and this dude shot 3 for 17. So I just want to put that out there. I mean, it was obviously probably his worst game of the season, especially given the stakes, but I don't think we're going to see that again. I really like his game, and I'm excited to see him next to LaMelo.
So you don't see him as like a Jabari clone, because now Jabari came in. I know, like different skill sets completely.
Right.
Brandon actually can, create off the dribble. He can create offense not only for himself but for others. But Jabari came in. He's expected to be number 1 overall pick. Drops to 3, like not a massive drop, and then he shoots like 31, 32, something like that, in low 30s. Over the season, could you see that from Brandon, or do you think that LaMelo is going to be able to create with him? Him coming off screens, coming off pick and roll. Do you see something like that where he'll explode offensively, or is this going to be a Jabari 2.0?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it took him a second to get going, kind of like Jabari did, but I think he's a better prospect than Jabari was, and
Yeah.
I think he's a little bit more proven. Just my opinion, but that's something we're gonna wait to see on. I don't have it like a super solid take about Brandon Miller versus Scoot. Like, I think they're comparable, and so I'll trust the organization, even though it is the Hornets.
Well, I'm excited to get to Scoot.
Yeah. All right. So let's just get to him.
Yeah. So 3rd overall, of course. Portland does the only thing they can do, Sammy. They dropped the best guy on the board. By far outranks any other prospect. Probably better than Brandon, but I guess we'll see this year. You watch him, Sammy, and he's just so transcendent. Like how he moves, how big he is. I know he's 6'2", but look at the 6'9" wingspan at 6'2", Sammy. That doesn't mean something to you. Like this guy is massive. You watch him and you listen to him in interviews. Like he is a great talker. You see him in workouts. He's built. This guy has just got it all. And then for me, like I got into basketball in 2017, like the year that KD left, and then I started watching Oklahoma. That was Russ's MVP year, and like seeing Russ, seeing what he did, and watching this guy, Sammy. I think he can. I don't think he's going to be Russell Westbrook. I think they are different players somewhat, but I think he can start his career in that Russell Westbrook kind of way. Where he's coming off pick and rolls. He's taking that mid range. He's pushing in transition. He's creating for others. I see a lot of upside with this guy, and the size does worry me a little bit, but I don't know. Talent is talent,
Right. Yeah. I can't help. I don't want to like make this. I want this to be a draft thing, but like with this pick, it's just so awkward when you have Anthony and Dame already, and so like I mean. Obviously, he's going to be playing a ton of minutes, but
I think they move. I know we shouldn't get into it, but they're definitely going to move off Dame. Why wouldn't they? What are they going to do? Move Anthony to the bench?
I don't believe him because
yeah,
I don't know. I'm not going to believe it until it happens. It's been years.
And then Jeremy Grant's a free agent. Like what did they expect? They expect everyone's just going to come to Portland. Who are they going to sign? Who's the best free agent? Fred VanVleet?
I'm not here to explain their stuff. I'm just saying we've seen this for fucking what? I don't even know when he got drafted. Fucking at least like 10 years probably. And it's been a few years of this and nothing has changed, and they're trying to build a team there, and it's probably delusional, but
well, did you see like he gets drafted, right? And they pull him aside and everything, and they interview him on ESPN. One of the first things they asked him was about potentially playing with Dame, and he's talking about, oh, we're gonna be unstoppable, blah blah blah, this and that. Like, and I respect what Scoot's saying. Like, you gotta have that attitude, but you're 6'2", bud. He's 6'3". Like,
yeah,
Jaden's 6'7", but he's not gonna play the 3. You might lose Jeremy. I don't know where you guys are expecting the size. You have Nurk signed up for another 2 years after this. Like, I think the 3rd year's a team option, something like that. I don't know what they expect to do, and For Scoot specifically, it's going to be hard for him to develop there when it's so crowded in the backcourt. You have like what top 100 guy of all time, whatever you
Right.
want to argue it. Like
Yeah.
he's not going to be number one until they find something to do, until they trade him or even trade Dame. And I for his sake, I hope they do something. That's all I'm going to say.
I agree. And if not, then it's going to be awkward. Simon's minutes are going to take a hit. And I don't know. I do think if they do play together, I'm not saying they're going to be competing for anything, but I think it still could be exciting seeing these guys play off each other. We've never really seen Dame too much off ball. Like, obviously, you think of
CJ.
the years with CJ, right?
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
he could do it, but
he was the guy there. Like
exactly. So
yeah, I don't think I've ever seen Dame play with someone with this level of talent. I'll say, like, who's the best teammates James has had? CJ, Jeremy, Sharp.
CJ.
Who else? Like,
yeah.
Like, I mean, this guy that they're bringing in could be the shining spot of in Portland for the next like 15 years. So, I mean, good luck.
So, what number is he gonna wear if Dame doesn't get traded?
That's true. Yeah. I don't know, like 00, bro. That'd be kind of sick.
Yeah.
Zeros on the 0-0.
Yeah.
But yeah, you want to move on to Amen now? Okay.
All right. Let's
let's
talk Amen.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so 4th overall, Houston takes Amen Thompson. Sammy, you know this. Our viewers or our one viewer, whoever does view this,
our moms.
yeah, exactly. Our families, they probably don't even know. I'm huge on those big playmakers, those big ball handlers. That is like when you have a guy that's 6'8", 6'9", and he's handling the ball. That Ben Simmons archetype. Like, got to work on the shot. Got to do this, got to do that. But when you have that size and that handle, I feel like anything is possible, especially on the defensive end. And that is one thing that you can count on with Amen Thompson is what he's going to bring not only to your offense but to your defense. And then this guy, Sammy, I haven't even got to the most important thing. This guy is the 1% of 1% athletes. This guy might be a better athlete than Zion Williamson. This guy's like, you can compare him to LeBron athletically. Jumps way off the court, goes flying, He's doing these crazy dunks, these up and unders. He's jumping in midair, spinning, and dishing to a teammate. It's the most insane tape I've seen in a while. But what do you think about him?
I think he has a lot to gain by playing alongside Jalen Green and Sengun and Jabari, and I think he is gonna have an awesome year. And if God forbid something were to happen to Vic, like this could be a guy that is winning Rookie of the Year.
That's true.
I'm not going to bet on that, but I think, especially with Ime now, like that he's going to instill like the defense into them, and Amen is going to, I would think, benefit more than any of the other players on the roster from that.
So of course, like, with all the great strengths that Amen has, there's some weaknesses. Like, the shooting is ugly. The shot is gross to watch. It's bad.
Yeah.
And then you worry because, like, yes, he is so athletic. Yes, he has that great first step, but how is he going to create in the half court with the shot he has now? Like,
bro, you might have cursed him by saying he's the Ben Simmons archetype.
Well,
say that in 2023.
I just, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think we all know what you mean,
but yeah, and then another thing too with OT, like, no one's ever been drafted this high from OT.
Right. So that's gonna apply to this and Asar. Like,
Asar, yeah. We don't really know anything. They both averaged like 16, like 6 and 6. Both of them was right around the same. Like, both of their stats are similar. Of course, Asar's the better shooter, but Asar's shooting 30%. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, I know it's a small sample size. Everyone will talk about that, but I am a little worried. But as I said before, these are my favorite players to watch. Like, there's other players like this in the draft. Anthony Black coming up. He's the same archetype. Big, but I just think that these guys, if they're put in the right situation which as much as I hate Houston, as much as I want them to lose because it'll help my team. I mean, you got to look at the talent they have. Excuse me, with Ime, they're I think this could really explode. I mean, probably not playoffs, but maybe like late lottery next year. If Amen comes in and people get better, Jalen becomes what he's supposed to be.
I mean, do they have much to gain from another year of tanking? Like, I think now, I think what we kind of see here with the Rockets is like similar to like what the Thunder did last year, where they weren't. It's not like they're competing for a top 6, but like I think I think that's going to be a goal for them, is to make a playing game. Be competitive. I mean, it goes without saying they had one of the worst records last year, but I think Ime coming in with Amen, and then we'll get to Cam later. Like, it's a huge influx of talent, and now you're kind of seeing that the roster is kind of filled out, at least what you're looking for with the young guys. So
unless they get James, which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. No, I mean, what?
I never believed that. Like,
bro, say they.
Why would he want out? Like, obviously it's Houston, and like he spent so.
You know why he wants to go. Come on, you know the reason.
That's such a stupid reason. I don't believe that.
And like it's home. I mean, he lived there like 10 plus years, right? Something like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
see him staying in Philly, honestly.
Well, I hope so. I need the Houston to be bad next year. Thunder get their pick, so.
Right.
But yeah, so let's move on.
Asar.
So Detroit, of course, takes Asar Thompson. First time in history that 2 brothers were drafted in the top 10. Of course, makes the first time in history.
Top
5, and then first time in history back to back. So Asar, like, lots of things that you say about Amen, you could say about Asar. Maybe not quite the athlete, but he's already 90% athlete in the NBA right now. Before he even puts on his jersey, he's insane.
Yeah.
Things that Asar does differently. I mean, he, as you can see, he's averaged 6.1 assists in OT. He can distribute, but he's not that lead guard. He's not. Okay, let's put the ball in this guy's hands and go create for everyone else. He's not Chris Paul out there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But this is actually perfect for the Pistons because you have Cade, and like Jaden was already a secondary playmaker, so now you're in a position where Asar could be playing the 3, which I think he can play.
Yeah, I think he can guard 3s.
Yeah, I think he can guard 3s, and you have him as like
secondary
playmaker. Yeah, seriously, just maybe some pick and rolls, coming off screens, off ball actions.
Yeah, I mean they have Monty. Monty.
He's gonna make the right pass. He's gonna make the right play.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to get that.
We'll see. That's another one. New coach like Monty Williams, maybe see a similar thing where they start trying to compete. I hope so. I really want to see Cade on the floor again.
Yeah, Cade was.
I'm pretty happy with both these guys going to these situations.
Yeah. But these 2 spots, like, as happy as I was to see Detroit with the worst record in the league fall to 5, it was hilarious because that happened at Oklahoma a few years back. Not the worst record, but I do think that in my mind, Detroit actually has a better chance to get better next year than Houston because of everything that goes on in Houston. Like, they played like a club team the past 3 years. They played like an AAU team.
Right. Yeah. No, I don't think that's crazy to say. Like, they could have been a little more competitive this year had it not been for Cade going down. So
yeah. Well, they shut him down too at the end of the year.
Right. So.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, they have lots of interesting guys. Like you said, Ivy and Cade. But they have that crazy front court where they have every center and every power forward in the entire league, and
James
they're all
Wiseman,
big money.
Bagley, Isaiah Stewart.
Yeah, they just have everyone. I mean, it's interesting. Like, you have a good starting 5 now. They're all young. Whoever you start at the 4 and 5, but your 1 through 3 is kind of set. The NBA is so positionless. It doesn't matter where they start. It matters who they defend. It matters what role they end up playing. But this team,
Right.
I think, could be pretty deadly in a few years. And I thought this was a great pick. And, we were both pretty happy about it yesterday.
Yeah, we were surprised because this was – we'll get
Cam,
to
yeah.
this, but this is the
Yeah.
start of the slide for Cam. And we were in the dark, for a while there. We're like, what's going on? Remember the Lakers come up, and I'm like, all right, we're taking Cam. And
well, you watch it just like I do. You try not to go on, like, I don't want to go on Twitter and know 30 seconds before.
No, I don't think I opened Twitter a single time during the draft.
Yeah, no,
because why would I?
Yeah, no, the only time I opened it was to see like the details of each trade. You know what I mean? Especially for number 10.
Yeah. Especially when the OKC got in there, you want to see that.
Yeah. Okay, you want to move on to Black then?
Yeah, Anthony Black.
Number 6.
This was one of my favorite prospects. I mean, he's a top 6 guy, so you're gonna have a lot of people saying that, but it's similar questions with the shot. I think it's more similar to like a SARS type of upside versus a Men, like slightly better. Not saying it's great or anything, but the way he plays,
like he deserved to go in the top 6. Like, we're not pretending like he's some sorry player,
sure. Mm-hmm.
But he's definitely, fits with that archetype. Like, you see that the guards they have now, Markelle Fultz, Cole Anthony, like Caleb Houston, I guess you could play him as guard, Suggs. And then after that, it's just kind of, it doesn't really mean anything. Do you see him starting and maybe, like, as we'll get to their 11th pick, starting together? Or how would you take him? Like, would you throw him right into the starting lineup? But, because what Orlando needs is more shooting. They have, like, some of these key players that people like tank to get, right? But how would you go along with his development? What in your mind is best for him next season?
I mean, yeah, I think it's a no-brainer. You start him and you play him. He's got good size. He's going to be an impactful defender from the get-go, or at least you would imagine. And
yeah, I mean, that's
where he lacks in shooting, he totally makes up for. Like, I would say, like, his passing, like his vision, and just like he's a very smart player. He's very like connected, I guess. Connectivity, like you'll see that on some of our slides.
He's a thunder guy, bro. He, size for position. How many positions can you defend, and can you make the next play? That's everything he does. Like, that describes what he is. Like, he's not great in half court, breaking down. He's not Kyrie Irving out there, but there is things that he does well, and I'm interested to see what he does. In the pick and roll. I'm interested to see who he ends up guarding. Are you to put him on the best like wing on the other team, or are you to put him on the best guard? That's very interesting because. Boy, that Orlando team is big. I mean, like most of their guys are at least 6'9". Like in their
every positional guy is above average, except I don't know. Cole Anthony is. I don't know his height.
But as you'll see later, they started. They drafted a 2 who's big too. So that lineup where they played Black and their 11th pick Jed, and then they play maybe even like Wendell and Paulo and Franz like. Shortest guy on the court would be Anthony Black at 6'7". So that team can be very, very interesting. And I'm getting a little nervous for the future. Thunder are gonna win 20 titles in the next 20 years. So I gotta keep an eye on.
It's like that Jaylen Brown quote. He's like 22. Like, how many are you gonna win in the next 5 years? He's like 5. All right. Let's move on.
Yeah. So,
Bilal, this is one of your guys.
Yes,
I want to put it out there. I honestly didn't watch a ton of tape. A lot of the stuff that I saw from him was from me watching Vic tape and stuff. But why don't you take the lead on this one? So
Bilal is not only am I like really interested in those big playmakers, but I'm interested in just big ball handlers, and that's what Bilal is. He came into the year, starting on that EYBL or whatever, the lower league, and then he was doing well there, putting up points, and then they brought him up to Mets 92, and he just started making plays, like started doing the role player, doing all the dirty work, and initially they thought he was 6'7", now it comes out he's 6'8". He's just kind of like he's a swing, right? If he hits, then could this guy be a number 1 option? But if he misses, this is probably the thing that gets you fired. So,
yeah, I mean, Washington all of a sudden is really interesting. I mean, they're going to be tanking, but he's going to be on the receiving end of Tyus Jones, like leading assist to turnover ratio,
Yeah, and
and
then they got
Jordan Poole gravity.
yeah. And what
like
is he now? Like he's the number 2 option, right? Automatically, because Poole's going to take the majority of the shots.
yeah. I
And,
mean, that's what you think.
and
You
there's no
assume they're
expectation.
reaching a little bit here. You
Yeah,
assume that they have a lot of confidence in this, so we'll see what he does.
yeah. I
I think on
mean,
the defensive end, like I think he might start guarding. Like he'll probably be guarding the best player from day one, and just
probably.
that's what they should do. Really, like they're gonna be tanking. It's not really gonna matter. Like they should just get those reps in with him, and because he has a lot of upside as
Yeah, but
guarding 1 through 3 for sure. Like
I think
maybe
he can
fours.
probably get to 4s. I'm just
Maybe
curious.
the ones are the more questionable thing versus the fours, but
What position do you think he ends up playing at? Because I think he's probably like going to start as a 3, put on more muscle. Maybe work with
yeah,
4s. But do you see him as a number 1 option? Someday, because he's the biggest question in this draft. Before the year started, like before early in this draft process, like he wasn't even in the second round, and then a couple months from now, he's late 20s, and then one month ago, he's like late lottery, and then he jumps all the way to 7. Like no one saw this, so this is by far
yeah,
the biggest question mark. And I mean, I respect it, but what does Washington have? Like, you take the swing, right? I mean,
I
this is the
guess
guy. This is the
that's what the
guy.
top 10 is for. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that you drop. This is the guy that if he hits, he could. It's just so hard because you don't know what he is. He played a role. He played the cleanup role. On Mets '92. He did the dirty
Mhm.
work. He defended. He went after rebounds. He hit that occasional shot. Like he shot what 33% from 3, but I think he took like less than 20, something like that. So you really don't know what this guy's gonna be, but he must have just killed it in those workouts and interviews. And then Wizards are here. Take our 2 second rounders. We'll move up 1 spot just to get this guy. I mean, it's very surprising, but I respect it. If this is their guy, then as you'll see the Thunder, like teams that have their guys, go get them. Why wait?
Yeah, getting back, you asked, do you think he could be number 1 option? I don't want to sound like a pessimist, but I'm kind of like, I kind of see him as more of a guy that like plays within the flow of the offense and like is kind of a secondary guy. Like, I don't know.
It's one
Like
of the
it's
things.
a big swing, and I just don't know if I trust Washington. So
Yeah, it's just one of the things that's like questions about him is like at his size, his ability to like handle the ball, and I think it's possible. Could he be a number 1 on a championship team? Could he be a number 1 on a playoff team? Maybe. We really don't know. Let's see him in the summer league. I can tell you more then, but big
right,
time question mark, big time. So
yeah, so
and
that's an
then
interesting one.
yeah,
Let's go ahead and talk about Jarris now.
so then the Pacers, who as most of you know, ended up swapping with Washington right before a number 7, end up taking Jarris at 8. Sammy, we've talked about this guy. I'm so lukewarm. This is the most lukewarm I am on any prospect in the top 14. It's just
I don't know
I
why.
get the appeal. Like I
Like
get
I
it.
think so you take Vic out of it, and I think he's the best defender in the class. Like he's versatile. Like he can switch out, and he's gonna finish plays. He's a great rebounder. Like he's gonna he can make plays on the short roll or kicking out after an offensive rebound. He's pretty athletic.
But he's so slow, Sammy. He looks like me and you running out
Okay,
there.
like I don't think he's that slow. I think that's a little bit of an exaggeration. Like
But his feet are so
he's gonna be
heavy.
next. Well, yeah, but that's why you put him in
I'm
a
saying
position to be a weak side rim protector.
he moves like Miles Turner right now. Like I and this is guys like what 19. when you're taking someone there, like I get the upside. I get what you're saying. Shot 34% from three, 46 overall, 66.2 from the line. On nine field goals a game, 53% true shooting. Like I get it. I get all of it. 7'2" wingspan. That's 6'8". That's great. It's just I'm watching him and it's just like, oh, floater here, floater there. Oh, I get beat, and then like, oh, I come and get this block, and I don't know if he's gonna be able to do what he did at the collegiate level at the next level. Like,
You're right. You brought up a good point. I kind of forgot about that. He is not as physical as you'd like him to be for his size and his frame. Like you'd want him to, you know, like he does go for that floater a lot, that short little pop-up shot. But I think it kind of has potential to work if you're having like Miles Turner in the
I
dunker
do,
spot
yeah,
or extending out, stretching. I don't know. I think Tyrese is going to be really good for him. Like, I think he's going to have a good rookie year. I think he's going to have good rebounding numbers. And I think he's going to be efficient too.
yeah. No, I mean I get it. I think that it's a great spot. I just as a prospect, I wasn't wowed. I he just wasn't my favorite. There is upside. There he can be something. He can, but I just don't see him as an all-star potential
I know
player.
you're such a defensive guy. Like I thought you'd be higher on him.
I know, like I get it. I understand the like physicality defensively. It's just when you're drafting in the eight, like you just saw Bilal go. Like, is there things that Jarris can do that Bilal can't? Like that's what I'm saying. I don't think there's anything that Jarris does that like can't be emulated somewhat by another individual in the league. I don't think there's anything that he's so great at. I think he's good at everything, good at the things you want him to be good at, but there's nothing that this is his one skill that's gonna take him over the next level. I
mean,
just
but that's not. I mean, like
I know I get it.
okay, like that's a dumb argument. I don't want to tear that apart because people say that about fucking LeBron his whole career. Like, oh, like he's a good
This guy
scorer, but he's
isn't
not better than
LeBron,
KD.
bro.
I know this is like a different thing, but he's not the most amazing at one thing. But it's like there's a lot of like well-rounded players that
No,
are
I
all-time
have nothing
greats.
against well-rounded players. I'm saying that me like watching Jarris, there was nothing where I was like that. I saw that I was like, yes, like this is what I need. Everything I saw from him, I'm like, if my team ends up taking him, I'm sure he'll work in the system. But I just as like just as a player in this draft, I think Indy's a good place for him, but just like specifically as a player, I wasn't too high on him. I think he's a lot of talent, but not my favorite. Not my favorite lottery talent.
All right.
But
Well,
the next guy.
yeah, we can move on now.
This guy, Sammy, is what probably my favorite lottery talent. When the Utah Jazz stole him from us. Oh my goodness. You saw me, bro. I almost started crying. Tears came in my
Yeah.
eyes. This is the guy I wanted in Oklahoma. This guy is so interesting. To see him in UCF where he's the number one option. Like people will talk about his handle. People will talk about, oh, he can't create for Did you watch a game? This guy's out there just, obviously 4 other players on the court. This guy's out there creating this insane offense for like his skill set. Because he's gonna come on the next level and he's gonna be a 3-and-D, right? Like that's what you expect him to be. Something
Yeah,
of
like he's gonna be a stretch 4 between Kessler and Lowry.
yeah. Would you move him to the 3 or would you move Lowry to the 3? Because Lowry just had his.
I moved Lowry to the 3 because he already did that in Cleveland, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah. Which is hard because he played 4 like this year, and his first All-Star year. So I'm curious who they end up moving, but this
right,
guy.
but it's also like you said before, we're getting increasingly positionless.
Yeah.
So it's more about the guys you guard. Whereas I see Lowry as more of a one-on-one guy, and then Taylor Hendricks is the guy that you stick on the stretch 4 or whoever to help off of. And, that's where he was really, really good is like shot blocking and
Yeah,
like
I can just see
inside
him
the arc
now
defense.
coming on that weak side, or even like on offense, like going on backdoor cuts, cutting off, like creating an open. I think he can, like, if his handle continues to develop, I think he can create for himself. I think this guy could be like a number 3 option one day on a championship team. That's how high I am on him. This guy's like,
Yeah,
I don't have like an exact comp for him, but I just think he has so much skill. He shot 39.4% from the collegiate line, of course, from 3, and he's 6'9" with a 7-foot wingspan, like, and he's great defensively. Like, Jarrett's a better defender, but you can compare him to Jarrett's defensively.
for sure. Yeah,
This guy,
comparable.
and this guy's like, not the most insane verticality, but he can definitely get up there. So I'm excited to see what he does. I won't watch him because he's in Utah, and
Right.
I hate Utah, but
you guys are gonna find out Josh hates a lot of teams that aren't the Thunder. Or formerly the Bulls, as we'll hash out at some later point. But I don't know. I don't really. I see him more of as a 3-and-D guy.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Obviously, there's the upside, and they're gonna try to develop him this year. But if I'm betting on it, I don't think he's gonna be a guy that's gonna be looked at to create his own shot much.
I just think at UCF he was undoubtedly number 1 option, and
right. But then you put him next to Lowry, and like he had just such a killer year. It's like, why are you going to put the ball in his hands at the end of a possession when you have Lowry?
Well, I mean, I get it. It really depends on what Utah ends up doing next year, because Utah was competing at the beginning of the year. They were first seed for like a week. Everyone thought we were in the twilight zone. Everyone thought the world was going to end. Nuts. Very surprising, but they finished late lottery. So like, is Utah are they gonna compete next year? If they do, like, I see what you're saying. I don't think he's gonna get a lot of ability to create. They did, as we'll talk about later, get a guard later in the first, so a guard that I actually do kind of enjoy. But I am very high on Taylor, and I think he has a lot to bring. All right, let's move on. This is the best pick of the. Okay. Right. So next slide. So at 10. The Oklahoma City Thunder, my team, of course, took Cason Wallace. And Sammy, you were like there with me. We watched it together. I wasn't like jumping up and down, freaking out.
Yeah, it kind of took a second to hit. I mean, I really liked him, watching him a little bit this year. Not that I watch a ton of like random teams in college basketball, but I definitely try to tune in sometimes. And he just makes an impact on like every aspect of the game, really, like other than maybe like self-creation to an extent, but he still like has that motor, and that like I see him being a good, not first option, not first like a primary ball handler, but like he's gonna be a really good secondary. I mean, you guys have Josh Giddey too, like like he's gonna be a better ball handler than like where he's placed on the totem pole.
Definitely.
And I think I don't like his defense.
That's where the value comes from.
That's really what it is you're drafting him for the defense, and now you're gonna have him with Lou and Chet, and Shea is not a bad defender. Yeah. Giddey's probably got a little bit to go, but like he's a big guy with all the skill for it. I think I like this pick for you guys.
I mean, initially I was, because like I had told you before, I wanted size, but initially I was a little, but I get it. I understand. This is that he fits. Cason fits into that. Davion Mitchell, that Schroeder point of attack defender archetype. Where he's gonna he's gonna follow you not around one screen. He'll follow stuff around all 4. You know what I mean? He's gonna run with you all night, and I think that's where a lot of his value comes from. Of course, he did shoot 34 from 3. He was shooting 41% actually during the year before he had his back spasms, issue.
Right.
Which obviously the Thunder, vetted. They thought they could deal with that. What I really love about this pick is the trade. So OKC moved from 12 to 10, and they swapped picks with Dallas. And they took on the Davis Bertans contract, which we'll get into later, of course, at the end of the video. And then they sent out the trade player exemption. So, I mean, I think it was a great pick. Not my first option, but the more I think about it, the more I talk myself into it. So
Right. And kind of looking at this a little more outside, I'm kind of thinking like what this shows me is that, well, first of all, I mean, who was the forward that you're going to take at this point when
yeah,
Jarris Walker and Hendricks got drafted right before? Like, you're not going to take Derek Lively here because you have Chet. But this also shows me like they probably believe in Ousmane Dieng, and like they still have what, Kenrich Williams, who's
yeah,
serviceable.
they have lots of interesting players. I mean, Poku shot 36% last
Right.
year.
I mean, that's the thing about the Thunder is like
Yeah.
they already have so many people at every single position. Like it seems like.
Well, that's why
So
lots of people are thinking like lots of Thunder fans are thinking that this wasn't a let's swing for the fences. Let's build around the edges type pick.
yeah, which I think it's what you guys should be doing at this point. You guys had a promising year last year, and I think this is where you guys start competing. Like I
Soon, yeah.
I don't know if you guys are going to be in the playoffs, but I think you guys are definitely in the hunt for a playing spot.
Yeah, we were
And
in the plan this year, without Chet. I mean,
yeah.
we have
So
3 rookies. Like, we'll get into it more. I don't want to talk too long because at the end of the video we'll get into it. So why don't we just move on to 11?
right.
So at 11, Magic surprised everyone and dropped like probably
Reaching.
I mean, is it? Yeah, a little bit, but they dropped probably like what, the third shooter that would have went in the lottery, right? If everyone drafted a shooter, that he would be option number 3, I guess.
Yeah, that's what you'd think, but Grady's still on the board here, so
Jordan's
it's interesting. The Magic obviously see something here.
What they see is his size. I mean, this guy's 6'8",
I mean, Grady is that size too, so.
Yeah, but this guy's got cool braids and stuff, bro. No, but I mean, all jokes aside, I do enjoy Jed. He's not my favorite shot, but he did shoot 36%. 6'8". Very long arms. Everything. He
Right.
did, struggle through injuries. But what I don't like, Sammy, at his size, I get it. He's playing 2. He's playing off guard, but 2 rebounds at 6'8". 2.8.
Almost 3, but yeah, no, I see what you're saying.
That's not what you want. Like, what was it? Why was he not crashing? When you're that size, you can't get bodied by who's defending you when you're that size, especially at the collegiate level. So I mean, that does worry me a bit. He's got a great handle. He's really interesting. Obviously, Orlando, this was their guy. They had to pick all 3 shooters. They could have picked anyone, and they chose Jed. So
right. Do you see this guy developing a self-creation game a little bit more for himself, or like what do you see his role? Do you think he's going to start? Like I imagine he might be coming off the bench, but what do you think?
Well, that's why I was asking you earlier about Black. If you thought Black was going to start, because say they start Black, right, and then like they start Markel or Suggs behind it in the 2 spot, and this guy's coming off the bench, just coming off the bench. I mean, I see his role to go back as more of like kind of similar to Grady's role, or similar to Jordan's role, where you're not going to put the ball in this guy's hands, 20 seconds left, game's tied, go get us a bucket, This is more of the, why don't you go like cut off ball and find some area, find some open space, and then, hit that 3 that's going to swing the game for us. Right. But you don't have to be wrong. Happens a lot. Tyler Hero, Jalen Williams, these guards that get drafted later that, people kind of just wash out, they're going to be role players, they're going to be that. Mm-hmm. Sometimes these guys can explode. So I get the upside. It's just, I probably would have taken Jordan in front of all these guys.
In front of Grady, you would have taken.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll get to it. But
we'll get to it. It is really interesting, the differences. I started out the college year as a really big Grady Dick fan, and then kind of fell off a little bit. And
then he started talking about
Jordan Hawkins broke my heart in the fucking national championship. But
Yeah, I was there. We watched it together, and I was complaining about collegiate basketball, and Sammy's like, "Shut up! This is like the third.
You don't understand.
You don't even watch college basketball. This is like the third game you see this year. Just shut up!" And I'm talking about SCSU like I went there or something, even though I
Yeah.
didn't. But yeah, but back to
Yeah.
Jet. I do think that there is a lot of room for him to grow. Like this is what Orlando needs: 3-point shooting. So
Right. Yeah.
this is what they need most right now because they have their guy with Paulo. Like maybe they have their two options with Franz. I guess they have their big with Wendell. Like who knows there? Chicago just completely lost that deal. The deal of all deals.
They've been lost it. Like
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
bad. I mean, but it is interesting. I do think there's lots of upside here. I do think he could be starting some games next year. It just really depends on how they view Suggs. Do they still see him as their, point? Do they still see him as their number one when it comes to that? But
Right. I think I see Markel Fultz having a bigger role.
Fultz had a great year
than Suggs, but
yeah,
we'll see. Maybe his skill set is a little bit redundant with Anthony Black, but that's something we'll find out. So I think let's move on here to the next pick.
All right. So this semi, of course, Mavericks take Derek Lively at 12 with
I love
trade.
this. I love this. Yeah.
Big time. And then the Mavericks even traded back into the first round, which we'll get to. But this is maybe my favorite pick in the entire lottery, other than Wemby. And
it's like a gimme. Like
what does Dallas need? Like size. They need size, and they need someone to protect the rim, and that's exactly what this guy does. Sammy, do you believe in Derek Lively's 3-point? He shot 15.4% at college, but all I've been hearing about the past month is how he's shooting in these open gyms.
I don't know. I don't really believe it, honestly. Like,
it's
I don't
interesting.
That's an upside thing, but like if I'm drafting this guy, that's just kind of like a little plus. Like for the Mavericks, like if he can stretch, they can play 5 out, whatever. That's awesome, but I don't think there's going to be pressure on him to shoot, which I think is going to be good for him if he's going to develop a shot. But yeah, I want him in the paint, in the dunker spot.
Yeah,
virtually all the time, setting hard screens. Like
he comes into this team as like the classic rim runner. He comes into this team being what JaVale McGee was supposed to be when they signed him.
Right.
He's exactly what this team needs, and I think he's almost like 90% guaranteed a starting spot right away. So
absolutely.
I think this is a great trade to get off the Dobbins contract and then bring in Lively. Something, throw Luka a bone, and I think this was the perfect guy for them. And I'm really happy. I'm not a Dallas fan, and I'm not like I wasn't huge on Lively, but I'm happy for him that he went there. Dallas is fun to watch, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Great all-around pick. I don't really have too much more to say on this one.
All right, then why don't we move on to your guy? Okay, so at number 13, Toronto takes Grady Dick. Sammy, this was one of your guys, right? This was is this in your mind? He's probably the best shooter, right? And that anyone could have got.
I mean, it is like Jordan Hawkins or him for sure. I think Grady Dick is a better catch and shoot guy, maybe a little bit more well-rounded and a little bit more connected on the defensive end than Jordan Hawkins. I think he has like a little bit more going for him, but it is close. Like they got drafted back to back, so I think that shows. But I mean, he is really good at playing off ball and like movement shooting. Like Jordan Hawkins probably has that a little bit more, but
a little bit. I mean,
God, what I loved about Grady Dick is he's so good at the pull-up three. I forget the percentage, but well over 40%.
It looks so pretty coming out of his hands.
It looks so good, and
every time it goes, he releases it. You're like, that's
he's a smart cutter, floor spacer. Like he's not like we have it here as a con, like one-on-one defense, but he's a good team defender. Like he's just a smart player that is gonna make the right play.
I I get everything you're saying. I understand. I just don't love like Toronto. I don't love Toronto taking him of all teams. Like, because what they'll probably lose Fred, right? I mean, they're probably
This kind of signals to me that maybe they're thinking about moving off Gary Trent.
Oh, really? You don't think they'll start them together?
I mean, so you have Jakob and then Pascal and then OG
And Scotty,
right? And then Scotty. So it's like,
well, then who's playing point? Because that's
exactly,
not Scotty.
exactly. So it's a little bit awkward here. They just have a lot of bigger guys, and of course that's a good thing. We were just talking about that with the Magic and stuff, but for whatever reason here, it's a little bit weird. I think he's still gonna have a productive year, but
Well,
I think
he
he probably could have been better in like a different situation.
He has a skill set that like you can be opened up on any team, really.
Right.
That's one thing about Grady. He's so versatile, and I think he does bring a lot. You know, he's huge too. Like you said, 6'7" with the 6'8" wingspan. I mean, yeah, not my favorite pick, but I do see the upside. So why don't we move on?
Yeah.
So at 14, the New Orleans Pelicans take my favorite shooter in the draft, best movement shooter, like by far, I think. I was telling Sammy the other day, we got into this argument. I was saying that the way that Hawkins moves, he kind of moves like Steph off ball or Dame off ball. And
no, you said Steph, and then later you qualified. Okay, maybe it's Dame, but like I'm not disagreeing saying that he's a great movement shooter. He is really good off ball, but just comparing it to Steph Curry is just like
yes. The point you were making was you can't compare anyone to Steph, and my point
is from the draft where on the ESPN they compared him to Ray Allen, and
which I hate.
I think I don't know why you hate that.
Because I just don't. He's so much bigger. I just like. I get it. I understand. Like I get what you're saying, but I just it would be like comparing like a guard to like if say like this hypothetical guard that was coming out, he played exactly like Paul George, but he's like 6'2". I would hate that, you know. Like I get it, but the sizes are too different. But that's besides the point. Let's talk about Hawkins. How do you feel about this fit in New Orleans? Because I mean, they are.
I was surprised to see him here. I don't know why, but I mean, I like it. I think this is probably one of the best situations he could have ended up in. Really, like he's going to sit there comfortably at the 2, and as it stands, it's probably going to be CJ at the 1 still. So he's going to be a guy that's just going to prevent a defense from collapsing. He's going to be pulling extra guys everywhere. And I think he could benefit a lot from Zion being on the floor. Like that goes without saying.
I think his skill set fits. I just think they kind of have a logjam like in the backcourt. I mean, they have CJ, they have Jose, they have Dyson Daniels, who they drafted last year in the lottery. And I know he's a point, but like you traded for CJ, you're paying him good money, like. Of course, Garrett Temple, Josh Richardson probably aren't going to be on the team, but Kyra Lewis, he's a maybe 6'1" point guard. I find it's going to be hard for him to find minutes right away. And I know that he has a skill set that can be translated very easily, but it feels like New Orleans has taken a point in the last like 4 years in a row, But I
mean, I don't know. Like, do you really see him like losing minutes to Kyra Lewis and like?
No,
it's Jose is gonna get like minutes for sure just because of his.
Yeah, but I get that him and Daniels are playing a different position, but I just what? So he's like the 4th guard now, unless you put him over Daniels, so he's like the 3rd guard.
Yeah, I think he's the 3rd guard.
I mean, that's better. I don't know. I'm just a little worried that it's gonna be hard for him to break that barrier down, but. He does have that skill set, so I guess we'll end up seeing. So why don't we move on?
Sure. Kobe Buffkin.
Yes.
I love this pick, dude. I feel like I'm saying that a lot. I like a lot of these picks. I guess I'm just an NBA fan. But
yeah.
I think we're a little more resistant to this because your immediate thought is DeJounte and Trey, obviously. But
yes.
I think he plays as a 6-man, and I think he's like Emmanuel quickly. Like, I think he's gonna be so good.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
like, he's a perfect 6-man where like he's gonna create for himself and others, and he's gonna play hard-nosed defense, and he's a shooter. Like,
yeah, 35.5 from three last season. He shot 84.9 from the line. I like that. So I mean, another stat that I really like. They even said it on ESPN last night. 70% at the rim at 6'5". That is insane to think
it's
about.
crazy.
That's
Yeah.
what centers are finishing at. That's
Yeah.
good for a center to finish around the 70s. Like
Mm-hmm.
to be elite combo guard, whatever you want to call him, to be that type of player at his size and to be finishing that well, I'd like that. That's what I really like. I don't like the fit. I understand what you're saying, a six man, and yeah, maybe I did overreact because it's right out of the lottery. But if I was an Atlanta fan, I'd just be so mad with how the team's shaped up.
But like, who would they be taking here instead?
That's the question. That's the question.
So I don't think you can be mad at it because, I mean, this guy's a stud. This feels like right in his range, and
yeah.
I mean, you look at
you look at the next
depth chart.
Guards, so I mean,
yeah,
you're right. Like there wasn't a lot of options. I just
because they have a lot of forwards too. Like,
yeah, maybe it's just a problem with their roster. I mean, or maybe it's just a problem with Trey. I have trouble seeing Trey, competing in the playoffs like he did a few years back. Against Philly. I don't know. I was such a Trey believer, I guess. I wasn't like.
But like, what changed? Player, like what has changed since then? Where like you don't believe in it anymore?
This like the more I've seen the game and the more I've like remembered that he's 6 feet, like, and he's like the worst defender in the league. Because of that reason alone, I think that bringing any guards in is detrimental because you need to surround him.
I mean, but this guy's a plus defender, and
I know, but
he can't play 48 minutes at two positions for the guard. Like,
no,
I gotta have other people there.
You're taking him.
This is the type of guard that you want to have around him.
Yeah, but that's what DeJounte is like. That they already.
Right. But why not? Like, why is there too many? Like, is one?
No, I mean I get it. I get what you're saying. I just, like I said, maybe it's more problems with the Atlanta roster as a whole. But okay.
Yeah, I think he'll have moments. I think he'll have moments next year. But yeah, let's move on.
Okay. So at 16, Utah takes Keontae George. Both me and you, like, I feel enjoyed the player, and we're fond of his draft.
Yeah.
Range, like overall, we just both thought he was a good prospect. He, like, one word I kept coming back to was smooth. I mean, this guy's just like butter, and is like, especially in the pick and roll, like in the midi. I think he could just do a lot. And at Utah, there's like, there's no lead guard out there. He is.
Right.
Like, there's a spot for him to open up, and with them taking Taylor and Keontae and having Lowry and whoever they want to throw out the two, and then of course their center like Kessler. I think this was a great pick.
Yeah, I feel like the main thing with him is just his efficiency. That might be a little skewed because this Baylor team wasn't like extremely talented, and he ended up taking a lot of shots, but. Like, I think this is a good place for him to grow, and he's gonna have a few vets around him, not a ton, but like, I don't know. I'm really interested, and I feel like this could be like a Donovan Mitchell 2.0 for Utah, just like this explosive, like well-rounded scorer that can like score in bunches and like something to just get the fan base excited.
Yeah, I don't think he has that verticality, of course.
No, he's less of an athlete than Donovan Mitchell, but just for sake of, they don't have that any guy.
Yeah, they don't have that guard that they can all gather around,
Right,
yeah. I see what you're saying. Okay. So why don't you introduce the next pick? Because, of course, it's
my team, Lakers. So there's a lot of buzz. I don't know buzz, but there's a lot of noise, I guess, of potentially the Lakers trading their pick, and I was kind of lukewarm on that. I was, obviously I'd have to see a package to see what we're getting, but I'm happy with this pick. Lakers social media or fans just seem to be a little split on this, but Jalen Hood-Schifino. It's an interesting combo guard from Indiana. Who I like his game, and I was pretty happy to see him taken here.
You were hyped right away because this was
Right.
because this of course Cam like is the big question, and I saw Cam really fitting in LA, but you were very excited. I remember that.
Yeah. So I mean, I think this helps out the guard questions right now because we don't know what's going to happen with D'Lo, Schroeder, if any of those guys are coming back. And while we do have to pick up another guy, still one of the two or somebody else, sounds like Fred VanVleet, like has some interest. He's a Rich Paul agent, but on Jalen, I mean, I just like the way he plays. Like he likes to slow the game down, and he can score with his like little mid range or bring it to the rack in the half court. He creates for others. He's a good rebounder for his size. The main question is his shooting, and
he shot 33% on 3.5 attempts, and
right.
I mean, he shot 30.4% on catch and shoots in college last season, 17 of 56. That's not something that that's not a great percentage for what we need, what your team needs, But I mean,
Right.
there was ups and downs, as any prospect. I do see your points, though. I mean, his pick and roll threat, not only as a scorer but as a passer, what he could do in the mid range. He had good moments as a point of attack. His big guy is 6'5", 6'10" wingspan. I like that.
Yeah.
But something he definitely needs to work on. I mean, he shot 52.5% at the rim. Like, I get it. He's a guard, but that's not something you want to hear.
I mean, is 52.5 really that bad in college basketball? I feel like it's not. I feel like it's right around average.
Yeah,
Fine.
but no, I get that. But he had a 49.2% true shooting percentage. He shot
Right.
41 from the field, 77 from free throw, which I mean, that's pretty good, I guess.
I mean, this is also a guy that was thrown into a bigger role than he was expecting coming into the year because their lead guard got injured. I forget his name, but I don't know. I think this is a guy that can benefit a lot from playing under LeBron James. Just serious. I mean, everybody can benefit, obviously. Like that goes without saying, but just harping on like the pace that he plays with and his motor and just like his IQ. We'll see about the shooting. I'm not super, maybe concerned is not the right word. Like I am a little concerned, but I don't think it's like a deal breaker for us. I don't know.
No, I'm
excited to see him in a Laker uniform. So
he definitely has his good moments. It's just like we have to bring up the good or the bad with the good. But I do think it was a good pick, and I think it was very smart to address the point guard concerns. Instead of overpaying D'Lo in free agency, let's bring in this guy, and then as we'll talk about later, very briefly in the second round, they got another wing, who can play off guard. So they did some interesting stuff with the limited assets they had, and I think they kind of knocked it out of the park. But that could be my bias. So
right, all right,
yeah.
Let's go ahead and talk about Jaime.
Yeah, so I don't know. I felt like this was a kind of reach. I mean, I love Jaime.
For sure, reach for sure.
First Mexican American to be dropped in the first round. He was born in Irvine, not too far from us. But I just don't like. I get it. He's big and stuff. He finishes well. He shot 31 from three. Like it just worries me. I get worried in that team that Miami's building, and Miami obviously they know what they're doing. Like,
yeah, I would feel way worse about this pick if it was anybody but Miami.
Yeah.
That's easy to say because they just had 4 undrafted players in their rotation in the finals. Like, it's nuts what they do over there, and he's a winning player. Like, he's a great rebounder. He's a physical scorer. Like, I think this is a really interesting guy to put next to Bam and Jimmy.
No, yeah, I hear you.
I see what you're saying. Like, they probably could have got somebody a little more talented, but I have to trust the Heat organization with this one. I think he's gonna have a reduced role on offense, but I think his defending.
I like what he brings. I'm not gonna pretend like I think it was a reach, but as we've been harping, Miami, Pat Riley knows more than both of us combined. He's forgotten more than we've ever learned. So
yeah, true.
If Pat's high on Jaime, then maybe we should be too. So why don't we move on to the Warriors?
This is such a Warriors pick, bro.
Yeah, the Warriors get their fourth white guard in the past 4 years in a row. They get out of here, DiVincenzo. Get out of here, Ty. Get out of your pool, even though you're not white. We're bringing in Pods, and he's going to replace all your production. I like it, Sammy. I like what Pod brings. I mean, I love him on this team. I hate Golden State, but I love him on this team. How'd you feel about it, though?
Yeah, I mean, this feels right up their alley, and I'm kind of pissed because I'm not a big Warriors guy, but he just seems like the smart type of player with the versatility to fit into this complicated system that they're running. Like he is, and it shows in the numbers, and it's really as good as it looks. He is a fucking great rebounder, honestly.
Yeah,
for his size, he's so good at crashing the glass and
yeah, I mean, he shot 43%, on a 40.2 3-point rate.
Right.
He took 14 field goals a game. Obviously you can see he averaged close to 20. Rebound the hell out of it. They measured him at 6'4". We even have it wrong here. He's smaller than we thought. But I'm excited. He goes from being the undoubted number one option to being six man off the bench, and I like. In that scheme that Golden State runs, they're going to generate open shots like nobody else. So I think that Pods has a lot of upside here for that team, not only for next year, but for years to come.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, let's get to the biggest storyline of the entire draft. Cam Whitmore drops from the fifth-ranked prospect all the way down to number 20, and Houston has the best draft they've had in the past 5 years.
Yeah,
has the best draft out of anyone, basically. I mean, if Cam hits and Amen hits, this is unfair for me because I'm a Thunder fan. But Cam is obviously, as you probably see now, he was everyone was scared of his health concerns, but he has the talent to be a top 5 player. So we just have to see. We have to see next year. Hopefully he can be healthy, but he's a fun player to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I really like his game. He's probably one of the most NBA ready guys in terms of just sheer frame, size. He's a physical player. The shooting is coming along, but he can create for himself. He's got a super quick first step.
This guy's tough too, Sammy. This guy's big. He's strong and he's mean. He is a bully when they're down in the block, and I think that if he's healthy next year, he could slide right into that 3, and that Houston team could be pretty deadly, honestly.
Yeah, I kind of forgot. Yeah, him at the 3 is gonna.
Yeah, because you got Amen, and then you got Jalen Green, and then you got him, and then you got Jabari. And then, whoever you want to throw in. I'm not a big Şengün guy, but, I'm sure everyone else is.
Mm-hmm.
And then that team can be pretty interesting. For my sake, my team's sake, I hope they're not. But this was a great pick in my mind.
Yeah, great pick. They probably won the draft.
Probably. And then, of course, the Nets are back-to-back. So with 21, they took Clowney. Me and Sammy got a heated debate about.
Yeah, no, we're not going to. This is a 20-minute debate. Touch on, but
yeah, I was right. But anyway, so Nets take Clowney. A very interesting big. Not really a shooter right now. Shot 28 from the collegiate line. He's not really a self-creator, is he, Sammy? He's more of he's kind of like Claxton, kind of like that type rim runner.
Yeah, he's gonna finish plays, and he had a small role in the offense last year for Bama. What I will say about him is in that Elite 8 game when it was SDSU versus Bama, and Brandon Miller was missing his shots, you take that away, and this is the guy I was scared of, like watching that game. Like I was like, fuck, like he's so big and physical and like imposing on the defensive end, and then it's like it took a whole gang to stop him on the defensive end, trying to slow him down and finish. And
Yeah.
luckily we got the better of them that time. But I really like his defensive versatility, like inside as a straight up rim protector, secondary rim protector. Like,
Well,
he's a
you were
great
talking about it
rebounder.
yesterday. You were talking about Denver, like you were explaining to me why this pick is so valuable because obviously he's not Aaron Gordon or but he can be that similar role where he's defending like the best like wings and bigs on the other team. He's extremely versatile, can switch out. Like you're not gonna have him. You're not gonna defend Steph. 48 minutes a game, but he's
I
interesting.
mean, yeah, I don't think he's that top tier defender that you're putting on. Like, yeah, I think you put him on 4s and you put him on some 3s, but he's more of a help guy, like kind of like Robert Williams. Like,
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a good pick. It's going to be really interesting to see if they play him next to Claxton, yeah, or if they bring him off the bench or what their situation is. So I'll be keeping an eye on that to start the year.
Yeah.
And so the Nets went back to back here, bringing us to Dariq Whitehead.
So Dariq coming into the year was projected to be a top 5 pick. He was one of the highest recruited guys coming out of high school. Suffered a lot of injuries, missed lots of time, and the Duke team was just awful. There's nothing really else to say, but I mean, I get it. I get the swing. He's a 3-point shooter, can handle a bit. There's upside there. I mean, I understand it. Not my favorite pick, but I do like Dariq for the Nets here at 22.
Right. Super talented guy for 20s. That goes with the injury, and seems like he had a little less athleticism coming back from that. So hopefully he comes back, with this off season, and he can come back and have some of that back. But yeah, I see him as, like a high level role player in the future where he's either gonna, half of the shots that he took were 3s, and he was shot, what was it?
He shot
43%. Like, this guy is a knockdown shooter, so I think he's gonna be a 3-and-D guy. Like, I don't think they're gonna put the ball in his hands too much, but when the ball swings to him, he's either gonna go up with it real quick or he's gonna attack, close out, and look to finish. His playmaking leaves a little bit to be desired, but he is a good finisher. So
yeah, so interesting pick there. Why don't we move on?
Yeah. Chris Murray.
Yeah, as I told you yesterday, or I should say first, the Blazers at 23 take Chris Murray. As I told you yesterday, both of the Murray twins, I'm so meh on both of them. He's like similar. I know it's like so easy, but he's similar to his brother. Just shoots worse. I'm just
Yeah.
I mean, I get it for Portland. I like it for Portland and everything. I like his size. I like what he can do. It's just, I mean, I'm higher on the guy that goes after him, Max. But
yeah, I don't think he's not going to be a huge game changer, but he's a connector. He's going to make the right play.
Yeah,
he can. He can get a little crafty in the one-on-ones, like when the ball ends up to him in the corner or the wing or whatever.
Yeah, but he's not gonna be breaking down defenders.
No, yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see his role because with Keegan last year, like he fit in really well because he just started knocking down 3, and like you don't see that with Chris here. So it's like,
yeah, well, I mean,
where does he fit in?
Grant's a free agent, so and I assume Chris is gonna play the 4. Do they look to bring back Grant? And obviously, picked in the 20s, he's probably not gonna be starting. But they need all the size they can get out there with Nurk's old ass. So
yeah,
this is I mean, I think it's a good pick, but I'm just so lukewarm on the prospect. So
yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't
Yeah.
really have much to say. I say we move on.
Okay. So then at 24, the Mavericks trade back into the first round, and they choose Olivier Max Prosper, one of the big time risers, other than Bilal. But this guy's he's just get after type guy. You know, he's gonna bring definitely what Dallas needs: more size, more athleticism. As you said here, he's not like the rim protector you would want him to be, but I think that I think that I think there's lots of roles he can fill in Dallas. So I do like this pick. What do you
Yeah,
think about it?
I think for Dallas this is pretty cool. He plays bigger than 6'7". Like I see him out there and like he seems like a 4. Like even though he is a 3 at the end of the day, but he's
Yeah,
bigger. And I mean, yeah, I think he fits into this offense with Luka
yeah, and I mean
pretty well coming off the bench.
in the trade too, they got Richaun Holmes, however you say
Sean
his name.
Holmes, yeah,
Yeah,
Rashawn.
Rashawn, thank you. I can remember because I haven't seen him in like 2 years. So
Right.
Rashawn's just been at the back of the bench, but that's more size too. So I kind of love everything Dallas did. You know, they got rid of a contract they didn't like. They picked their guy, and then they traded back in the first to take on someone else's bad contract. You know, and they got nothing but size. So I think that Dallas, other than Houston, is definitely a winner in this draft.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. We'll move on.
Sasser. This is another good performer in the tournament that kind of caught my eye. I was a little late getting to hear about him, but I mean, I really like his game. I don't know where he'll fit in with the Pistons, but
that's what I was gonna say. I mean, because 6'2", like obviously they're drafting him for the bench, but I just you seem higher on than I am. I just there's not much I have to say about him. This was originally Boston's pick.
It's weird. This guy is like a 3-and-D guy, but a guard, like instead of like a wing.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. I don't know much about him. So
right. So like he took over half of his shots from 3, and I don't know the numbers, but I would guess that it's about half and half, creating these threes for himself and just catch and shoot. And then he was also a very tenacious defender.
Yeah, I mean he's 6'2", but 6'7" wingspan. That's interesting.
Yeah, so like he is smaller, but he had success a lot against the lead guard on the other team. And
so he's remind you of like that Kaysen type, then that's smaller, but
yeah, I mean they're two different guys,
but I mean similar where they're smaller in stature, but they're going to be right in the bowl. They're going to be right in your shorts every play.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I see him. I don't know if I see him as a 6-man, but it's weird because it is really weird to see these small guards come in that, like, I don't know. I see him as an off-ball guy. I don't see him getting touches like
it
over
could
a
work,
lot of these other guys.
I mean, I don't want to compare him to a Hall of Famer, but you saw Lowry in the finals. Like you saw the what he brought. You saw the value he brought to his team. So
yeah,
I just think that it's going to get harder and harder for these guys that are our heights that we call small to compete at this level. But if you think he's going to find minutes, I guess, because I mean there is flexibility in Detroit. Could you move down Asar, like if you start
because they have so much size.
Yeah. Could you move down Asar and then Cade? And Cade's huge, and Ivy's not small. So it, like I said before, it doesn't matter where you play. It matters who you defend. So it matters the role you play. But
and now that I'm kind of thinking about it, like as we're discussing it right now, I'm kind of switching my feel on this because it's like, all right, you put out a lineup where this guy's the shortest guy, but like it's not for a lack of defense. Like he's going to be right up there with the other defenders in terms of how good they are. So
yeah, I mean,
I think Monty Williams could make this work.
Yeah.
I don't know. Less of a playmaker, but like I could see him like kind of being used as how Monty used like campaign at points. like 2 years ago or so.
Not offensively, but defensively, or not defense. Sorry, you obviously they're different players, but he'll
Right.
have similar value, but on the defensive end. I see what you're saying.
On the defensive, yeah, like you sub out the playmaking with the defense and like
Yeah.
But I feel confident with him like creating his own shot and stuff. It's just a matter of finding the space for him in the lineup.
Yeah. No, I get you. Okay.
All right,
We're
let's
getting
move on.
close. Yeah. All right. At 26, Pacers take Ben Shepherd. Interesting. I mean, they do have some interesting guards there. Like everyone forgot about Chris Duarte. That's just fallen out of the rotation later in the year. But I mean,
Yeah.
of course they have Tyrese, they have Heald. Benedict Matherin's like a 6'6", but they're really probably going to end up playing him. And you got to forget, you got to remember too. Nemhard last year had a great year as a rookie. I mean, do you see Shepherd kind of fitting into all that? He is 6'6", so maybe he can play up. But how do you see him next year for Indianapolis?
Oh, I don't know. I'm kind of like on this one. Like this feels like you're just drafting him for like the shooting and like the frame and like
yeah, I got you.
I don't know. Like this is a guy that is gonna look better because he plays around Tyrese, but I'm not. I don't have a lot to say about this guy, honestly.
Okay. Why don't we move on then?
Yeah.
Okay, at 27, the Hornets take Nick Smith Jr., who fell more than anyone other than Cam in this entire draft, or some of the guys will get into the second round. But I mean, I get it. Like we were talking about earlier, they do have like some interesting guards, but like they just need talent there. So
yeah,
PJ's going into restricted free agency. I know different positions, obviously, but they saw Nick Smith and, coming into the year, a lottery talent, and missed a lot of time this year with injuries. And I mean, it could be interesting, right? Who knows? It's late lottery, or not late first round. Maybe he could be something with Melo, but I think they're obviously going to bring him along slowly,
Yeah. No, I think this is cool. I don't know. It'll be interesting. I guess he's like the secondary guy. I mean, not secondary because of Brandon Miller. Like Brandon Miller's going to get more touch than him, obviously, but he's another guard that you feel comfortable like putting the ball in his hands and like
definitely, yeah.
Him like making a play. Like he's talented for sure.
Well, I mean, his problems were shot selection and like, of course, health concerns and stuff like that. But
right.
As crappy as an organization as Charlotte is, I do like this though. I like taking that talent, late.
Yeah, this is like an upside pick, and I like it. Like an upside pick this late in the draft is interesting, but
yeah,
I think it's cool. Yeah.
I mean, you got to take your swings, and they have an extra first. They took their guy, who, as we established, probably wasn't my choice, but I like it. So why don't we get on to Jazz?
Yeah.
So at 28, Jazz take Bryce Sensabaugh. They're really just rounding out this rotation, aren't they? With Hendricks and then with Keontae and now Sensabaugh.
Yeah.
They have a plan. I mean, this is interesting. I mean, Sensabaugh shot 48 overall, 40 from 3, 83 from the line, 58 true shooting with 36 3-point rate. This is an interesting guy. I mean, he's not huge, but he for Ohio, like he was the guy, and I think this could be very interesting. If one of these guards hits in some way and becomes a rotation player, then will be a great draft for Utah. As I've said, I'm already super high on Hendricks. So
yeah, I mean, this guy's a bucket, and so you expect him to come here and assert himself despite being like a 29th pick. I like this for them. I think he could play next to Keontae. And I think that backcourt works well. And, maybe the defense leaves a little bit to be desired on that. But I think in terms of development, like you hope he comes around on the team play a little bit more. Not that he like is a bad team player, but I feel like sometimes you'd want to see him make the extra pass rather than taking it himself, but that's also kind of the role that he was in, right? Like at
Yeah,
Ohio State. So
yeah. So I guess we'll have to see how he is on the next level, of course, obviously, with every guy here. But I do like this pick. I think it was good. So why don't we move on? There's two
yeah,
left, and then we'll get on to the second round. So at 29, the Pacers are back, taking Julian Strawther. So I don't know too much about this guy, Sammy. I mean,
yeah, dude. This is honestly a guy I did not know his name until he got picked last night.
I mean,
So,
the film that I was watching today, preparing for this, he he's projectable. He's a projectable role player on the next level. He's an interesting wing that can shoot. Uh, his problems with his on-ball defense, especially laterally, he can get lost on screens. But this guy for Gonzaga was clutch. He hit timely shots, and I think this is a good pick in the back end of the draft. You just kind of got to take who you take.
right.
Not everyone's going to be Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, you see the Pacers like really just looking for decent sized guys here that can shoot, and you see kind of like what they're going for with Tyrese. Like they're moving towards like a 5-out offense with like just him and a bunch of shooters, and then you either have like Miles Turner or Jarris Walker right in the middle. And I don't think he's gonna have a big role or anything, but
I actually think this pick is going to Denver. I think we have it wrong on the slides because I'm looking at
no way.
Yeah, I'm looking at all the trade.
I thought it was Denver's pick that went to them. Let me see.
Yeah, no. This guy is interesting though, no matter where he ends up.
All right, guys. Yeah, we fucked up.
Okay.
I don't know how I got that mixed up. Yeah.
No, it's all good. It's all good. It's very confusing with the way the NBA does it because they can't just tell you who drafts. Yeah. It has to be Dallas is drafting at 10 for Oklahoma. It can't just be simple. Like they have to make it extremely difficult. Mm-hmm. But as I was saying, everything that we said about this guy, about Strawther, it expanded tenfold for going to the defending champs. I mean, a wing that can shoot threes and is prepared to play a role in the next level. I think that's exactly what Denver needs. So,
right. I mean, it's kind of similar to the Christian Brown pick last year, where it's like, all right, just take a winning player with size and that can, do a little bit of everything. So,
so that's interesting for them. All right,
we'll see if he cracks the rotation, but let's go to number 30.
All right, so
another guy I don't know much about.
Yeah. So with the last pick in the first round, LA Clippers take Kobe Brown. So Kobe's just thing about Kobe is he's big and he's quick, but he's not this vertical spacer. Okay, so you see like his 3-point percentage, he thought 45.5, and you think like that's great, right? But you got to remember this is like a fourth-year senior, and he shot 25%, 20%, then jumped to 45% his last year.
Right, that's only on like 3 attempts a game. So
and he's 23 years old. So I mean, it's interesting for LA. Like there's things he can do. Is the shooting going to translate, though? Is he going to shoot 45% at the next level? Probably not, but can he get high 30s?
But why do you say that?
Well, he shot in the 20s his first 3 years.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was saying. He shot 25% his freshman year.
Yeah, I guess I was looking at his numbers over here. But
okay. Yeah. No, it's all good, though. But yeah, it's interesting. I mean, LA is kind of a firestorm right now, to be honest. Everything's kind of going down with the ship, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see about this one.
Yeah. And then it's just we'll just quickly do the second round. We're obviously not going to break down every player, but we'll talk about some of the falls. Gigi Jackson ripping the Nick at his workout, falling there. Leonard Miller fell out of the potential lottery. James Najee out of the late first. CD, Mojave King, Amani Bates got drafted by Cleveland. My team took Keontae Johnson, who I know very little about, other than, of course, the story that everyone knows. And then Ryan Rupert, which was surprising to me, but I kind of love his fit in Portland. So, yeah, not much to say about the second round, but, of course, we'll know in a year or 3 how these guys really are.
Yeah, what I think is cool here is 2 of my favorite names are Maxwell Lewis and Keontae Johnson that went to each of our teams, which for you don't know a lot about Keontae Johnson, but I watched a decent amount of Kansas State, and he's just a physical wing that he can get his own shot and can get it in a number of ways. The health is a big reason why he fell. I'd say like possibly the defense is also maybe a reason for concern, but I think that's really interesting for you guys. We'll see if he can maybe get some rotational minutes. You guys have so many people, but
yeah, that's the thing about Keontae. Like I even though I didn't know a ton about him, my first thought was like, good luck finding minutes, because this guy could be a two-way guy though. Because they did just open that with the new CBA. Now you can have 3 two-way spots instead of 2, so that could be something interesting. But Maxwell Lewis fell from the beginning of the college season from the lottery.
I'm happy to have him.
And I think he is a insane talent to get in the second round. This is a guy that put up points. Maybe not the most efficient, but he is a self-creator. He's big, 6'7". He's got a lot of interesting things, but the problem is the team didn't win with him. Okay, the team didn't look good with him. So obviously coming to LA, he's not going to be the number 1 option, but I think this could be really interesting off the bench for them, and I do love that pick, definitely.
I mean, that's a shooter for our bench, and can't ever have too many of those.
Yeah. So yeah.
All right, so then I guess that wraps up our first 2 rounds of the NBA draft, or only 2 rounds rather.
Yeah.
Super fun talking about this.
Yes. Thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah.
And our next video, we'll be talking about the Lakers off-season plans and potentially the Thunder off-season plans. So
yeah, maybe 2 separate videos might be one. We'll figure it out. But be on the lookout.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.